Welcome back to Commission Reviews, the queen of reality TV. All right, now we're going to talk to the king. He's been here before, y'all. My camera just went out, so I'm sorry, y'all. Just don't even worry about it. We'll keep pushing. All right, he's been here before, and Damon, let me tell you something. First of all, I'm honored to talk to you a second time. I've already told you, I love your work. I've already told you that everything else. I support you, even when I have to talk to you. I be talking crap on my internet. Like, don't play with my boy. I don't play. So, so okay, let's just jump right into this now. Miss Just Hilarious
Oh,
recently
yeah.
shared on this Breakfast Club about some experience that she had with Mike Epps Club and everything else. And for me, look, even as a blogger, I've had experiences with peers, all kind of stuff. Oh, trust me, I've had a lot of stories. I get it, right? But when she got to the point about Damon Williams being on stage and On to Discovery was actually you, it was said so loudly, and I feel like kind of crass. What kind of with your mind when you first heard that? That when you first, I know people hitting you up, all that stuff. Give me your thoughts.
Well, first of all, it was I didn't hear it. I was asleep
Mm,
till almost noon because I spent the whole weekend for Mother's Day with my mother. Took her to a gospel concert Friday. I cooked for the ladies at my house Sunday. After going to church early Sunday morning with my mother after being out late Saturday. So I took the day. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. It was about 11:30 when my cousin George Wilborn texted me.
mhm,
And he's like, man, you see this? You caught a stray. And let me clarify, because a lot of misconception about this whole thing
mhm.
with the Wayans Williams thing.
Okay.
They did not say that either of us was there or performing with her or were going to be there when she got there.
Mhm.
What she was saying was to vouch for the club and to present the fact that it's a reputable place. They were saying like, we want you to do the club. In fact, Damon Williams was just here,
Gotcha.
or they mispronounced and said Damon Wayans was just here. Either
Mhm.
way it goes, neither Damon Wayans nor myself were to be scheduled to perform with Just Hilarious. So let's get that out there just in case I
Good.
use this anywhere else.
Right.
Neither one of us was there. She's a headliner. I'm a headliner.
Mhm.
Damon Williams is retired, so there was
Mhm.
no possibility of us all being at one mic, any of us together. So that's that. And so how I felt about it, um, I felt it was deliberate because if anyone knows radio, you prepare for radio, you do your prep, especially when you're on a nationwide platform with millions of listeners and viewers. And if anyone watches that, and after you see this, then y'all can leave me alone about I'm dragging this, and we attacking her. That is not the case. But she said, I went, and I hate to even be doing this as far as it's concerned, but I'm gonna get
Right.
out.
Right. Right. I understand.
She said, I went to the club because A, it was Mike Epps' club. He's the OG. As she's looking at her laptop, she said, secondly, looking at her notes, which means
Mm.
it's a premeditated, deliberate statement. Okay. This is not, oh, and oh boy, what's his name? Not the,
Ah.
it was,
Mhm.
I'm saying this tomorrow or today, whenever she wrote it, the night before, because that's normally when you prep for a morning show. I've done it for
Yes.
8 months.
Mhm.
Before
True.
your segment, you type out what your bullet points.
Right.
Bullet point was they told me Damon Williams was there. I get there, it's Damon Williams. And I get if anybody had an expectation of a Damon Williams and you got to a Damon Williams, that's fine. But you say, okay, he's no Damon Williams. Never said I was. Never said everybody in the world should know me. So all these people that's saying, well, I don't know him either. First of all, you're not a comedian. Second of all, you're not on a nationwide platform. Third of all, you have a responsibility when you're on a platform not to be reckless. So your
Hmm.
job is, if you don't know a Damon Williams, then you Google him before you mention him to 8 million people. It's just that simple.
It
That's
is.
protocol. When you
Mhm.
came on this platform, you said you wanted me to do this. The first thing I'm sure you did was hit one button to find out everything you want to know about Damon Williams. It's all there. I do these interviews. I've been doing them for 30 years. So I know how it goes. So she thought by saying that it made the club look bad and didn't think about the ramifications of my brand by dismissing me as some disappointing replacement. And I'm 32 years in the game, and I've been doing this thing on a high level, minding my business, staying out the way. I ain't never been to the Breakfast Club. I ain't never been to Vlad. I ain't never been on none of these blogs where they gossip and talk shit about people. Okay. All I do is tell my jokes. book my comedians, take care of my business, and try to be a pleasant person. So that being said, when you go to say, I don't know a damn Damon Williams, you had an opportunity to know before you came on the air. And then you go to clean it up. You say, you might be a very fine comedian, sir,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know you. Now you're talking to me. You're not talking to them. You telling me I could be cool, but I don't know you. When that's not true, because you know exactly how funny I am. Because on New Year's Eve in this year, past year, turning into 2024 to 2025, you went on stage and I went behind you and I tore that building to pieces and you asked about me. Now, mind you, we have no familiarity with each other. She don't know me. I didn't say
Right.
she don't. I'm not saying
Right.
she don't. This probably be the last time I really express this. I ain't saying she know me. It wasn't her job to know me, and it don't matter to me if she does or if she said it in a complimentary or less than demeaning fashion. We wouldn't be having this conversation. She could have been like, "Okay, I get there, Damon Wayans. Ain't Damon Wayans? It's Damon Williams, who could be a very fine comedian, but I'm not familiar with him, and he's no Damon Wayans. How do I have a
I
problem with
agree. I agree with you 100%.
that?
I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%.
But if
Just the
you
way
go
you say it.
Damon Williams, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know no damn Damon Williams. Now he might be all right, but I don't know him.
Right.
I had nothing to do with this story. I had nothing to do with her weekend. I had nothing to do with that club as far as that incident happened. So I caught her straight. And all I did in kind, as opposed to doing the things that I could have done and saying the things I could have said, is post a video of her saying that and pictures of us and her and being very gracious with my wife and us backstage kicking it and the laminate with all of our pictures on it, which she also wore that night with all of
Mm.
our pictures on it. Okay. And I put Jess Amnesia and I was out and I left it there. And I'm thinking naturally, I'm gonna get, my little 12 or 1500 views and I'll get a couple of ha-has and it'll go away. That was my intent.
Okay.
And it clarified, yeah, you do a little bit. You
Right.
kind of know me, you know.
Right.
We exchanged phone numbers. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, the next day, you text my phone and left me a belligerent message. So, she said she had to find somebody to give her a number, but she looked and she admitted that, okay, you did text me and you did the next day allow my photographer to send her the photos that I paid for him to take around the theater and such. So all of these things add up to the fact that it was a joke that she was trying to do. She was trying to get a quick laugh. I didn't know Damon. I get there and ain't Damon Williams. It's Damon Williams. And
A bit.
that's funny.
Mhm.
Because I have jokes about me not being Damon Wayans myself. In my
Right.
shows, I say, I hope nobody here didn't think I was coming to see Damon Wayans. And a few people would laugh, like, I told you, oops, blah, blah, blah. And I say, y'all should have saw the ticket price, Plus, he spells his name with a few more zeros. I've been saying
Mhm.
that for 25
You
years.
have. You have. You have.
So that being said, I'm I'm not confrontational. I'm not messy. I'm not drama filled. I don't argue. I don't even argue with
You're
my wife.
very positive. You're very positive. Mm-hmm.
Argue with my wife. We don't argue in this household. We say what we got to say and it's over. So I'm not about to go back and forth. I'm not going to play the audio message that she sent me, with her feelings about how this could have went or how it should have went after I woke up to this. I ain't had nothing to do with this. This
She
ain't no
sent you an audio message the same day
the next day.
or the next day?
After she
Wow.
saw the video response, she sent the audio and with her feelings on how I handled
Got you.
this. So
I think. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna tell you this. So I don't know what she said, and to be honest, I'm cool with even knowing about it.
I'm not
But
no one will know.
but
Yeah.
no, 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 no. What I'm trying to say is
Except
that
she says she blocked me.
she said she blocked you.
That's the
Wait
only
a
thing I'm
minute.
saying from
I
that
didn't
whole
know
message. Yeah.
she. Okay, to me that alone is trash. So to me, from what
But
I saw, hold on, let me say this real quick. So I noticed that you because instead of clapping back and being harshly, you made light. And to me, that one video was a very, very, very light response. You could have went in, you could have did a whole lot. Any other comedian, baby, would have been 20 videos and all kind of things or
yeah,
whatever. And you did not do it the way I thought you handled it really cool. And to me, she's not being humble. To block you for what? How do you know to block him? I thought you didn't know who he was. Now you know where he is, you can block him. I'm confused. I don't get
yeah.
it.
And but it's generations between us.
Oh
So
yeah, you're right about
you
that.
know, you have to understand that's the ultimate clapback for somebody in that age bracket. She's the same age as my son. Okay. And I didn't even know she was as young as she is, but I
Mhm.
knew she was younger than me. And so for that alone, I gave her grace in response to the message that she sent. My closing line was, we should just squash this publicly and just laugh about it.
Right.
You know, and in fact, the smart thing to do now, and I might even pitch it, is to go and do a show together.
I agree.
You know,
Smart.
yeah. I mean, that would, and people would be freaked out
They
because
would. They
we're
would.
big.
Yes,
We're
sir.
big. I'm not bigger in the stature of the industry than that, but as a man and as an adult and as a positive thinking person, I'm bigger than all this mess. So like I said, I assumed I was like, oh, watch this, because I make reels all the time, So I'm like, oh, it's funny because I got pictures together. So how you gonna say you don't know me? Boom, I'm gonna slap this video, boop, put the song on it, pow, put it up, right? The internet lost their minds.
They did.
Chicago specifically, but not
Hmm.
just Chicago. I'm still getting the tributes and the conversations, and I've asked people repeatedly not to bash her, condemn her, or attack her in any way on my
Right.
behalf.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
your currency is who you are. My currency from this has been stories about who people put money in their pocket, or who I mean people I booked them, or I got them on a TV show, or I picked them up at the airport, or I bought their flight because they got stranded, or things of that nature. That's my currency. She is just with the mess. That's her moniker. So the mess coming back to you is because you're in the messy lane. That's your lane. So you have
Mm.
to live in it. You got to dwell in it. Reap and sow.
Yes.
You know, I I have 32 years worth of chips to cash in, and it seemed like the Lord cashed them last Monday.
Godfrey talk about you. Look, him and Corey. I know him and Corey home going back and forth, but they were
Yeah,
even going. They were going back and forth by you. Like, who got me started? I got started with Damon. No, Corey said no. I got started with Damon. So that was something I heard last week. But it was a positive thing to you because they were big up in you, but they were still arguing with each other
yeah. I
still.
mean, it's that whole thing. And like I said, my name comes up
Yeah, it
because
does.
I'm quietly in the shadows. I'm the most underrated comedian, as people say,
You are,
because of the longevity and the achievements that I've had.
and your
But
talent.
it's all been on a steady pace. It's not been a huge spikes. Even though I did host Showtime at the Apollo for 4 episodes, the
Period.
television show.
Hmm.
Um, I'm on currently right now on Netflix with some more on a special called All the Queen's Men. I have my own TV series on Tubi, which launched off Urban Flicks called Last Tonight with Damon Williams. Toured with the Kings of Comedy, and then fast forward 20 years later, toured with the same remaining Kings with the Straight Jokes No Chaser tour. So from going from an opening act to one of the acts, these are all wins. And all I'm looking for is a few singles and a couple of doubles, because
Yeah.
hitting home runs, sometimes you knock it out the park and then you become a household name, and then the next day they forget about you. If they just work with me along the way until I get to my financial goals, I could care less about success and fame and fortune. I'd much rather be rich than famous. I tell you that much right now.
That's where I'm at right now. I swear to God. I want to talk about the wave of support you've been getting, the positive side. Yeah, Cedric Entertainer, Little Rail, all these comedians who are very close to her and respect her and didn't want to bash her, but was still saying, I'm a little irritated because it wasn't just because of the fact she said that, it was wrong. But not only that, you said it on a big platform, and you guys are comedians, you have a small network. You guys should be like saying this in-house instead of letting everybody know what's going on. So what are your thoughts about that?
As far as the contributors, predominantly, I mean, it started out, lighthearted, but sort of a dig, because everybody was, anybody in this industry, in the black comedy community,
Right.
that's in the last 20 years, and I go back 32,
Mhm.
says about 35, Dale's 35, George Wilborn's about 35. We were the pioneers and the renaissance of this black comedy game. Comic View and Def Comedy Jam. So we were the ones who were segregated from the white comedy chains. People don't even realize that what we had to go through to get to an improv or a funny bone, because they just weren't seeing us. They weren't
Yeah.
having it, because Def
Mhm.
Jam came out so strong. The first 2 seasons, it was amazing, and then it kind of dwindled with the talent pool, and it became a vulgar and a sidebar and an urban subclass
Right.
in comedy.
After
So
dark
there
situation.
was a
Mhm.
stigma attached to Def Jam, and I've heard this from many people that have were in rooms with executives. If you had Def Comedy Jam as your main credit, they throw you in this pile because now you're just that. So
Wow.
you went from that. So that meant you couldn't get in evening at the Improv or the Funny Bone or clubs like that. Fast forward, it starts to catch on. Eddie and Martin do what they do, and they become who they are, and then the white comics start to fade because the whole industry crashed because the white comedy changed. And I say white because they called it mainstream, but it was white clubs, white comedians, white headliners, one particular black per every quarter, and he had to be super innocuous and mild mannered and articulate and not be urban. He's basically code switching or being that guy from the suburbs or whatever. Um, but then people stopped coming to that because they started papering the rooms and giving away tickets because they had no vehicle to make white comedians as stars, except Comedy Central, maybe Premium Blend. But
Yeah.
it was
Mhm.
it was a dime a dozen. You couldn't identify them. Def Comedy Jam put you in a platform where if you hit and that audience gave you a stand up and blew up, he was a household name to the black community.
Yep.
He was a household name to the college student, and that's the market. Okay, so now the comedy clubs are saying, man, these white clubs not comics not selling tickets, so let's give them a black night. So black night was paying for the whole week at the club. It was packed out, and we spend different when we go out. Black white people go out or mainstream rooms. They're buying a bucket of beers. They're gonna buy a Pabst Blue Ribbon. They're gonna get the hell up out of there. We want 12 wings with the salt and pepper, lemon pepper, on Hennessy. We want the ladies is doing cocktails.
Yep.
It's an outing. So they found out per capita black people spend more money at the table
Oh
than white
yes, we
people.
do.
So now they need us. And guess what? When that happens, late 90s, early 2000s, 2005, 7, 8, 10. Now, every comedy club, their roster is 80-20 black to white.
Oh
So,
yeah, the Bill Bellamy's. Oh yeah, everybody.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here
Mm-hmm.
comes the social medias, which I'll give credit to Bob Sumner. He coined that phrase. They ain't dealt with none of this, discrimination or segregation. And believe me, humor is segregated culturally more so than racially.
Okay.
So, and that's based on relatability. If
Mm-hmm.
I go perform for a group of white people, half the things I normally say, they're not going to really relate to it because I'm talking from a vernacular and a standpoint of the
Yes.
culture that is
Mm-hmm.
us. Now,
Yes.
I know how to translate, I know how to cross over, I know how to be general. So
Right.
I don't write like I'm talking to a room full of black people. I write something funny and I say it in a way that everyone can eventually relate to. Because I'll get to a show and you go to a funny bone down in the Tampa, or you go out in I've been places like Syracuse or Hartford, Connecticut, and it's 80% white people on my show. And
Mm.
so I can't be running around the country changing up my act. So I just do me, let them come to me. My
Yeah.
point is they have the ability to sell tickets, pack houses full of their supporters who just are people that follow them and want to go and take a picture with them because they saw them, they love their skits, and they become like part of the family, and they just love it. They don't even care the fact that they don't have an hour worth of stand up.
That's the
You know,
new stuff. Right.
yeah,
That's crazy. That's the
yeah,
internet comedy
yeah.
comedian.
And I'm not belittling that because it's the era
Right. No,
for
of
them,
course not. It's just
and they
different.
got a tool that's provided to them. So for someone from my era, a traditional comedian, to be, hit off like I was in this circumstance, a lot of people are like, she didn't mean it like that. It ain't you. You can't tell me how to feel about what I feel about what I feel about my brand. You can't tell me that it don't diminish the fact that if maybe I'm trying to appeal to younger audiences so I can have longevity in my career, that if Jess and Larry say she don't know me, then why would they?
Ah, that's why I don't understand. What I'm trying to say is, okay, with her leaving you a voicemail to me, I thought you were going to tell me that she was leaving it to apologize or to say what you were saying. Let's get together, let's work it out, or whatever. Or come,
I don't want
you
to
know,
quote it, but I'll say the gist of it was I could have handled it different. I could have reached out to her off air and said something. Then that would have made her be more remorseful. She would have apologized, this, that, and the other. And that wasn't my job. That wasn't
that's
my duty.
weird.
I didn't ask for none of this, you know. But my point is, because you asked the question, I went on a
Yes.
tangent.
No, no, you're
And
good, baby.
I want to get most of this out, so I don't have to really say it too many times. And if anybody asks me something, I'll refer them to this video. How about
Okay,
that?
gotcha.
So then the outpouring came because we've all, you know, Lil Rel climbed the ranks, and he is one of her best friends. He
I
put her on the
know.
team.
Mm-hmm.
He felt compelled to say something because even though she's his good friend, I'm his big brother, the big homie, and he felt that it was egregious and it was inappropriate. It was just that simple, and that's all. To all the people who keep saying, "What's the big deal?" The big deal is if you have 8 to 12 million people listening to you, You have a responsibility to watch your mouth, flat out. Watch your mouth. We've been taught that. I've done radio. There's things that you can say, and they will try to. I've been pulled aside like you can't do that on it's got sponsors or whatever. There are ramifications for words. Words matter. So and the one word in that sentence turned into. If she said, "I don't know no Damon Williams," okay, you
Yeah.
don't know Damon Williams. I don't know no damn Damon Williams.
Uh-huh.
See the difference?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And they say, well, that's how she talks. Don't talk about me like that. Keep me out your mouth because I wasn't at one mic. I wasn't in Detroit. I didn't ask for none of this. So that's why the comedian, and then me being the most or the least problematic comedian,
Very much so.
I've never had issues with any group of people or of all these people. There's one situation that's ever been negative that's a mark on my career, which I also didn't ask for. But that being said,
Mm-hmm.
there's no confrontation. There's no beef. I get along with everybody. I support everybody. I've paid a lot of people. And that's been the overwhelming response from the comedians. And so it's like one of our own, one of the old heads, the one who least deserved it, called the stray. So they're like, man, first of all, how you don't know this dude if you're in this business? Second of all the people you're going to talk about, you're going to talk about this dude? That's what you're hearing. And then there are the civilians who have been to our shows. And if you do comedy for 30 years, and let's just say, minus the Kings of Comedy tour, which was literally 30 shows with an average of 10,000 people, 300,000 people I touched on that tour. Okay. At some point, some of them have had a face to face and a one on one or a kind gesture or a picture taken or a conversation or met on a bus or saw me in the airport, you know, and I'm just a regular old dude. Sometimes people say, you in here shopping, you at the grocery store? Yeah, because I gotta eat. And I feel like I want to create that star mystique and that fame aura because then you're trapped by it. And I'll tell you this, being recognizable is beautiful when it comes in handy. You're in line somewhere, somebody, oh, that's old boy. Come on, man, you ain't waiting that line. Oh, that's old boy. Yeah, drinks on me. That's cool. But if it's every step you take, hey, that's old boy. Hey, can I get a picture? Hey, man, let me tell you a joke. That shit can wear on you. So
Mm.
fame has a price. So and I noticed this more so when COVID hit. When
Mm.
COVID hit and I wore a hat and a mask, I was like, wow, this is what life is like to just be
Mm-hmm.
walking around, anonymous. So I value my fan base and I value my career and my gift and my craft, which is what I love the most and I'm defending. Because when you say I don't know no damn Damon Williams, I mean I ain't worthy to for people to come and buy that ticket. See what I'm saying? Now you're attacking, the essence of myself. So it's bigger than just I should get over it, or she didn't mean it like that, or forgive her when she was young. And I didn't not do these things. I just said, here's the case. I got to defend myself. You're talking to me. I'm gonna talk back to you. Quick little video. Let's move on with our lives. But the people, and it's two factors, right? Because it's the younger generation predominantly that support her. Some still say she's messy, right? Because
Yes,
that's her thing,
it is.
And then it's the older people that don't know her. They're like, well, who is this anyway? That has the nerve to talk to one of ours? And they're
Right.
like, well, who is he? We ain't never heard of this big head. I've been getting, and it's all that. So mentally, I have tried to avoid the comments because I feel compelled to
To
clarify
respond.
to
Mm.
people, not even respond, to clarify.
Okay.
I
Okay.
want to clarify certain things because they think, you know, she was disappointed because the club falsely advertised that she was going to be working with Damon Williams. And when she got there, it was Damon Williams. And of course, she was disappointed by that. Not the case, right? Um, and so it is what it is. Now, this has been a long talk about really nothing. But I will
Mm.
say this, some things happen for a reason. And, it's been a blessing to my life. And I anticipate that I've gained thousands of fans. I've already got thousands more followers from this. So there's a silver lining for me. So
You
if
deserve
anybody
all of
else,
that.
if anybody else out there want to shit on my name, go right ahead if it's on the right platform.
Look, I know that's right. Look, let them talk about me on Best Club. I'd be happy about that. Let me ask you a question. Has it, and this is more of a positive, has it opened some doors that we wouldn't think that happened, or maybe some phone calls may have changed up since this has happened?
It hasn't. Yeah, well, I put it this way. I have a very prominent promoter, and he books me with some of the top talent in the country as far as concerts and music and
Okay.
comedy. He's the
Hmm.
my man Rick Johnson, Urban Vibe Entertainment, added me to the Straight Jokes No Chaser tour with Earthquake, Fed, DL, Mike Epps, Lou Nail has done some dates, Bruce, DC Curry, um, and kept me as a peer. You know, what I mean, I'm not opening. I'm on the fly. I'm one of the dudes. But I have been pitching things to him, you know, on my own behalf,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
he not yet, not ready, not now. He has some interest in it, so that's the
Mm.
major difference. And then there have been calls and offers, for shows that came immediately once they noticed that this is going viral. It's always somebody want to jump on it, and then it's been the
Yeah.
revelations of some of the deeds and activities that I partook or things that I've done with or for people that I forgot about.
Okay.
Didn't think twice about it because it was just my nature to do it,
Hmm.
and it's
Hmm.
been reminded and it's been publicly. So it's a lot of brotherhood and sisters too. My girl Corey Bell, Mimi Simpson, Hope Flood, some more. All my ladies. Sherry Shepherd interviewed me for the Two Funny Mamas podcast. They've all come, because it's more than that. Coco Brown,
I love Coco
even Adele
Brown.
Gibbons, even Adele wanted to highlight the fact that the gist of the story was the mistreatment from the club because their club has organizational issues which they're working on. And now I'm going back. I'm going back thanks to that. That was another thing that came from that. They're bringing me back. They want me to come because of all of the hype around it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they're
Hmm.
working on some things because they have multiple partners and we have all chiefs and no Indians. Things can get mucked up, right? So
Understandable.
yeah, but Adele wanted to highlight the fact that this young lady went through some of the same things she went through 30 years ago. And she's like,
Mm.
but we shouldn't be still dealing with that 30 years later. And that was only because, it was basically our own people. And, because when we do those other chain clubs, the one thing you won't have to worry about is having a conversation about anything that you conversed or wrote in your contract not being what it should be.
Right.
And if there's any discrepancy, it's handled expeditiously and in a timely, organized fashion. So they've accepted their flaws in that situation. Um, Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say to me with that should bring up a different conversation. And she could have opened up the floor to being mistreated, not just by this club, but other clubs as well. But she ended up turning it to something else. Because what you're saying is this should be the topic of conversation anyway, just not the way she said it. Because you guys have been mistreated before, I'm sure by comedy club, not just you, I'm talking about other comedians. I'm saying it's a thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, previously, and it depends on a lot of people. For instance, Lil Rel did the club. He said he had none of those problems because he has a good team around him. So his
Mm.
team, they troubleshoot, you know.
Mm.
And if you have like my girl Jada who dealt with you, she
Hmm.
did
Hmm.
she troubleshoots, So when it's time for me to leave my home, I can call Jada and say, how much am I making? Where am I staying? Who is my on-premise contact? Who is picking me up? If not, am I being reimbursed for ground transportation? Because she's had this conversation with them throughout the process, and that's what your people do. That's why you have a person so that you can stay on your creative mind and you don't have to worry about it. Now, what I'll say about this, if something went wrong, there's also a way to handle that. That is one of the. There might be 6 black-owned comedy clubs in the world. You hear me? Not
That's
in the
sad.
United States, in the world. So
That's
if you
not
had a
good.
bad time with them and you go on your platform and talk to 8 million people,
Ah, yeah.
you say not only they treated me bad, I don't recommend any comedians work there.
Mm.
Now you're trying to destroy the club. And I said to that, I think that could have been handled a little differently because that club employs dozens of people, including black women, predominantly black women. And these black women are dependent on that money to raise their families or make ends meet. It could be a second job, it could be a main job. And in a time when we're already they're trying to erase us, our history in our face. They're literally banning books and wiping away, you know, our contributions through any website in the federal government and things of that nature. They tried to get rid of Jackie Robinson's service. You know, we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
So now we trying to fight and infight amongst ourselves. So I told the people, I told all my supporters multiple times, leave Just Hilarious alone. Do not attack her and go at her on my behalf. So let's have some unity. And I'm a mentor not only to young comics, but specifically ladies in comedy. All my life, all my career, I should say, I don't say my whole life, but it's half of it's more than half of it. I've been an advocate for ladies in comedy because they have a tougher journey because it's a male dominated field.
Mm,
And then there are some examples of women not holding their own in terms of laughter versus male comics. You know, because some get in just because look like something to do, and they're like just Niche, who also is my girl. Her and Cody Bell are my two favorites in Chicago right now. I have many others because somebody gonna see this. Um, uh, they said that about how it's not just bad women comics. It's just not enough of them on the show to represent. So yeah, if you have one bad one, and it's only one woman, then you think it's a bad woman comic.
mm.
Not funny or this and the other. So now it's kind of changing. So they went out and put together their own tour, a ladies package, and went around the country and did that. And I commend them and I applaud them. And that's an example of this next generation being respectful to the predecessors of them and honoring us and then taking it to another level and doing their own thing. And that's what I hope for this game. That's what I hope comes from this whole debacle is that there's more unity and that we now, the way I receive my flowers from across the country and Canada and other places, I want to, like, one comedian McGriff, he suggested that we do that once a month for another veteran comedian because we never get to say these things about people, these positive things, until it's too late. Then everybody posting their picture. All this love I'm getting right now is
You
love
get a
I've
lot.
gotten from my memorial. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like somebody, it might have been Darius Bradford out of St. Louis, who was hilarious, and he's Black Tony on the Ricky Smiley show. He said, "You are literally living to see your funeral." He joking, but he's like, this is
Right.
what will happen. And so that should be a practice not only for comedy but in life in general. Warren Buffett made a statement I just saw, and he said, "What you should ask yourself when it comes to people you surround yourself with is, if you knew you had one day left to live, who would you spend that day with?" And that person you identify, or those people you identify, and then don't be bothered with the rest. So
Wow, that's beautiful.
be very intentional with your love and your expression of love for people that you have while you have them. So this has been eye opening for me in that capacity. The love that I receive, and my son, we had a very long talk today, and he's very astute. My son is very deep and
Hmm.
very analytical and such. And he was like, it warmed his heart to see me receive the love that he knew that I deserved because he's seen how I operate and how I move and how I move humbly. And I humbly say that because I'm not, and I'm not super famous, but people know me, and I could walk in that, I could live in that, but it ain't, comedy is what I do. It's not who I am. You know, I'm a person first. And as we all should be, our humane side should come across first. So let's be more humane with each other. Let's love on each other a little bit more. I've reached out, like I said, where we conversed, and at the end of my response to her somewhat testy message was, "Why don't we just laugh about this? Because it ain't that serious. It's a misunderstanding, but the people and the culture took it differently."
So I'm gonna tell you this. Even though I'm in this game as a blogger and all these, journalists, for me, I before I even interviewed you the first time, I before I even got to this game, like I said before, and I said again, I was a fan. But the man that I have 3 kids with now, we watched you. I'm old now, so but 20 some years ago, we watched you. So for me, I was taken aback as well because even if I wasn't in the blogging game, I still knew who you were because and I was broke back then. So we had BET. Okay. So we were watching BET a lot. We were on my screen when I was pregnant, when I had children. So I've always been connected to your comedy, period. So I was honored to be in a blogging game to be able to have you on my platform. So when I saw that, And I can feel how the audience feels. You don't understand that because you're not in his position, but it's offensive to us because you have made us laugh for so many years. For us, it's like, how do you not know? You understand what
Well,
I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
just
and
being
that's,
honest.
I mean, if you in this field, you should know. Like for instance, if you play basketball, you might want to watch a couple of Michael Jordan tapes. I don't
Come
care
on.
if you're 12. Um,
Exactly.
so, but there's a disconnect, because of the age difference. I've been doing this 32 years. She's 32 years old. So when you were
Oh
watching me
shit.
20 years ago, she was 11 or 12, probably prohibited from seeing it. And she wasn't doing comedy. She's not literally a stand-up comedian. She's a social commentator who does stand-up and now is pursuing a career. Because see, this thing takes from that 20 some odd years ago when you saw me, because I was green. I was learning my game back then to the person that I am. So this thing
Right.
is just like life. So I give all grace for the lack of awareness of who I am from her. I give all grace on that. My point is the deliberate
The
situation.
delivery. The
You look
delivery.
at it, not the delivery, the
Yeah.
deliberate
Okay.
statement. It was a bullet point to say it wasn't Damon Wayans, it's Damon Williams. And once you decided you were going to say that, you needed to know who he is if you're going to say his name on
Mm.
the air. That's the only thing
I
I
get
have.
what you're saying. I get what you're saying because you're saying that, and I'm a podcast as well. Everything I do is pre-planned, like you stated. So when you said it to me, it did open up my eyes to something different. For what you're saying is, if you're sitting here with a computer set up to say these things, that's crazy because you could easily said, Damon Williams, this is who he is. I used to work with him, such and such. He's funny. No
Oh,
shade to him, but
it's
I'm just
good.
saying, no shade to him, but I thought I was Wayne. What I'm saying is to still don't be because everybody watching, like you say, a lot of people who are young do watch that show. So
Yeah.
that point, and it's your brand. So for that point, I get it. Respectfully, I get it. 100%.
So moving forward, because this will pass, the
It
news
will.
cycle. And I'm surprised that we're even still on it because it took such a life of its own because of this. Just it's like I said, it's my currency. I'm cashing out all of the deeds that I've done over time. So that's
I
why.
love that too.
And then there's so many people that feel like once first of all, we're a trendy society, and once it
Yes.
started trending, it's just like
It
the ice
blew up.
bucket challenge. I am the current ice bucket challenge. Everybody be talking about it, you know.
Okay.
So it's always in the trends, and especially with us because we're trendy people. But
Yes, we
also
are.
within that trend, our trends are quick. They come and go. So I'm surprised this thing has the legs it
Hey,
has.
I'm
And
surprised you haven't heard from Shannon Sharp. I'm
I have
surprised you didn't get the call.
exactly. Well, he don't want to talk to nobody right now.
You right about that.
Yeah, he don't want to be. He don't want to be on his own couch. He's man.
Oh shit.
What happened? Oh, everything it was all so beautiful. Just like 3 weeks ago, I found it was. I was I was minding my business, Skip, and
Oh my God! Stop
I'm
it!
gonna
I
take
didn't have
some.
me a shot.
I'm gonna drink some of this cognac, and yeah, and but see, that's how this game is. It turned on you, right? He was the darling of the internet when he did the Cat Williams interview, and he
Mm,
sat there and let and stoked some of those things that were divisive, and went out against some of the comedians because some of the things Cat said, even though he was doing it in a humorous fashion, he
hmm
was he was kind of emptying his bullets on people because it was certain things that he felt needed to be said.
Right.
He was a conduit to that. But if you got to be a conduit to something, you got to own what happens from it.
You got to
And
sit in it.
slowly but surely, then Monique came on and she did her thing and she talked about who she needed to talk about and got the stuff off her chest. But you're stoking this. Now you're looking for more people to come in and be controversial and air their dirty laundry. So now your currency is what you build up. So you built it up on all this other stuff, and then bam, you
Mm,
got to this pedestal, and then the bottom dropped out because now you became a target, brother. Because that same woman you was doing all the things you was doing with before you was like the number one dude, she
hmm
could see the opportunity, or the opportunity to risk versus reward was not there. So why would she squander this dude that's hitting her with 5 and 10,000 on demand every once in a while? Because I need this 5 or 10,000. But now he got 10 and 50 million. So now you want 10 million. right? So you'll squander all of that, and what happened to her could have happened to her. I'm not
Right.
definitely
I know. I understand. I know what you're saying. She
allegedly, all this,
recording stuff,
you
recording
know,
conversations.
it's all alleged. But my point is, that's how this thing is. So I could be right now, I could be the number one trending good guy of America, right? And then one person could say, "Well, I remember the time he broke in my auntie house," and
Right. Oh.
yeah, and it's out there now, So now I'm not the good guy no more, and they're off to the next thing, you know. So I'm not a saint. I'm not some benevolent person that deserves
Right.
pious praise and admiration. But my actions and my work speaks for itself, and clearly a few people have been positively affected by my presence, and that's all I ever strive to do on this earth with my family, my extended family. I'm a helpful. I'm the go-to in the family, and I'm an empath to the point where I gotta help when I know I can, even though it might be to my detriment to some point. And I know you're gonna ask me again, and you're gonna ask me again until some
Oh
point
wow.
you get tired to the point. But if I see your back is against the wall, you got nowhere to turn, and I got two slices of bread, I'm gonna give you one. You know,
You
and
sound like
if you
my fiance. That's what you sound like.
if you gaming me, that's on you. If you are misusing my generosity or my
Right.
kindness, that's on you. That's the currency you building up. And I keep referring to the currency thing because you are a sum of your actions, no matter
You
good
put
or
that.
bad.
You put that
You're a
very
sum.
well. Mm-hmm.
And so, what you put out, what do you want? What do you want in return from life? So if people think and take a moment or a bit, a beat to think that, and I ain't come to this conclusion when I was 14. I'm older now. So now what matters more to me is legacy, camaraderie, the loved ones. It ain't about being the number one comedian or being better than that comedian. I just want to go do my little shows or big ones or bigger than that. Because I got to watch my tongue because I had to tell some people recently, like, because a lot of people will say, man, you've been doing this so long and you do it so well. How come you ain't never really blow up? How come Just Hilarious don't know you? Because you ain't, what I'm saying, out there in the mainstream. Because when I got in this business, I asked God for me to be able to go around the country and headline in comedy clubs and people to show up and buy tickets so I can do stand-up comedy, the thing I loved to do, and make a living. And he gave me that. I didn't say, Lord, I want to be selling out arenas by the time I'm in this
Right.
game, and I want a 7-movie deal, and I want my own sitcom, and I want to be a spokesperson for toothpaste. I want all these
Not
things.
toothpaste.
Yeah, because
But look, Damon. Have you looked back and said, and this is actually be a summer moment, but some of the ones who had all the things you said are no longer here. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of people. I'm gonna be transparent. I think about for myself. I put myself in the same view. People say I'm underrated and I should be above, like should be on NBC or whatever. Because I'm doing this over 10 years, blogging. But again, there are a lot of people who had all the things you said. They are not here and been there for a long time.
I
And
have
you're
said
still rocking.
I have said to people, I'm more successful than Michael Jackson right now.
Hmm, damn,
How
that's
about
crazy.
that? Because I'm here.
Yep.
So it
Right.
comes down to what you value in life and life itself. Health, getting up, walking around is beautiful. And I got friends
Yes,
my
sir.
age, that are not here. I got friends my age that are here and are not healthy,
Hmm.
you know, battling something. So by the grace of God and the grace of goodness, I feel like I'm one of the most successful people on earth because I'm here.
Damon, why don't you have like a podcast? And I'm asking you that because a lot of guys, D.L. Hughley's, even a lot of people who are doing the podcast, it would be successful. I would feel like, why aren't you in that game? It's my final question.
First of all, you know what it takes to do this,
I do, Lord Jesus. I do.
right? And to do it right and consistently, I don't want to give up my free time for that.
Okay.
So,
I
and,
actually
and, and
understand that.
I just got this free time. Now I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. I got my mic right here. I'm ready for it. Look,
Well, I'm not
that's
saying you gotta. I'm not saying like for
no,
me.
no.
I feel
I'm being joking, but I'm saying
you're so
I'm
silly. No, I'm
meant.
saying you could do it that part time. Even you have a lot of things to say that are positive, not just about comedy. You
I
have
know,
things that people will listen to. I'm being honest.
Yeah, but my thing is, I was managing and booking and promoting a comedy club for the last 8 or 9, maybe more than that years, and it consumed my life.
Okay, okay, okay.
Right. So now, and I was on. I had outlets. I had for 8 years. I was on the Tom Joyner Morning Show once a week.
Mm,
I'm on DL Hughley Show every Wednesday, and it's not a conversation. I just get to write my thoughts and record them and send them in. It's called
right.
That's What I Think every
Mhm.
Wednesday. I was on Sybil Wilkes podcast every Tuesday, and when Tuesday at 6 o'clock rolled around, I might be on my way from riding my bike on the lakefront or somewhere else. Now I know with my podcast, I do it on my own schedule, my own time. But
Yes.
I don't. It's not in my heart right now. So
Okay,
if
I
it,
get what that is. I know what that means. I know what that means.
yeah,
I get that.
that's not in my heart right now.
It would. I get it because for me, it took me when people was telling me I wasn't in it, till I had to be in it. So I get that. When it happens to you, please let me know because I want to be involved when you do it. This is my world, and I just think you would be good on there. You have a lot of positive things to say, a lot of wisdom, and I see comedians who are on podcasts. I'm not saying that they're bad, whatever, but if people like you, it's gold. You have gold as far as things to say, a history and past that people don't know about. I just think it would be good to see you on the podcast or hear you on
It
podcast
will.
whenever you do it.
But you know what they can do? They can Google me, like I told Jess, and find all of these interviews. I do I take all podcast requests, all interview requests, and I sit and I have these long-term conversations, sometimes to the detriment of my romance. Um,
Shit.
so that it's all documented. Not today. It's all good because my wife. No, look, I don't want to tell her business, but I'm hounding her. Listen to this. It's funny. I've been hounding her because I got mine to get her colonoscopy. Right.
Oh wow,
So
damn.
today is prep day.
Oh shit. Excuse
If
my
anybody
language.
knows about that process with the jug, she
That's why I
going through.
said oh shit. That's why I said-
And so I should be literally like tending to her, but it's not. It's a solo or circus. There's not much I could do to comfort her. But so that's my answer to
don't
that.
don't don't get me in trouble, mama.
Yeah, yeah. Don't say never when it comes to me not having a podcast. Like I said, I'm already kind of set up for it. But
Okay.
track down guests and having someone to do the tech and producing. And I'm sure you probably in-house person. I
I
just
am.
yeah. Between my travels now, there are times like if I did something like on the road with Damon Williams when I'm sitting my goofy ass in a hotel room by myself, looking at the wall, then maybe I should put up a banner and do a podcast in those
Yes.
moments. But it would
Yes.
have to definitely be virtual, like this. But I feel like with a podcast, most of them are better when the person is in studio and blah blah blah. So all of that,
Mm-mm.
and it's a great idea, and it'll probably help my profile, and it also enlighten a few people. But I'm doing so many of them, or as many of them as are requested, so that if people really want to get that inspiration or a better understanding or insight from me, just Google, and all these interviews will come up.
Well, why not? Okay, why don't you start doing where you start recording yourself on the road? Whether it be cell phone or maybe have your son or somebody has a camera, not necessarily podcast, but vlogging behind the scenes, BTS as they call it, the kids call it. While you're on the road, just different things. I think that'd be also
That's
because you already have the YouTube channel. I thought your YouTube channel. Why not upload videos behind the scenes, different things? Just even you just joking around, get a mistake happen. They love that crap. I'm just being honest, and it's gonna be good for your YouTube channel. I'm telling you,
Yes,
this,
sir.
this is
But
real
going
stuff.
forward, in answer to your question, going forward, and that's going to start this weekend. I
Okay,
am
good.
documenting a lot of my stuff because what happens, even though you can post, handheld cameras and selfies and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my
Mm-hmm.
wife used to do foodie videos when she traveled more with me, and I understand the desire to that and people enjoying that. But I didn't want to put up messiness. I wanted to be
No, no, no. When I say, but I'm
listen.
sorry. When I say
I'm
behind the
talking
scene, oh, okay. What I'm saying, I'm just saying, like you at
about
your
messy. I'm
show.
talking about to be
Oh,
raggedy
gotcha,
production.
gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
because people judge you on your content now, you know, and
Oh,
so
trust me, I know.
my son is already concerned about. He said you got to get your AV going from this. He said from this moment you need to seize this. And now when people
Yes,
come to the page, it should have a look. It has to have a like Gary
he's
Owens
right.
has.
He's right. He's right.
Gary is great, but Gary got somebody doing that, right?
He does, but see, Gary on the beginning when he was doing that stuff at the comedy club, it was just my phone recording. Yeah, I do my research, like you stated, I do. So what I'm
Yeah,
saying for you, I don't care if your son is sitting there recording you. all right, good night. And he come behind you with the phone,
My son
recording
is
it.
too busy.
Well, no, I was just saying your sons. I don't know your people. I'm just saying if somebody was there recording you, hey, good night, while you recording the phone, and you probably little clips on Instagram and YouTube. I'm just saying, it ain't got to be no whole
I know,
video, but just little
for
clips or
sure.
whatever. You know, that's
You
all I'm saying.
you're making a very valid point, and I'm absorbing it, and you may see it coming soon. Seriously, because sometimes I do. I get in the mood to it, and I make reels, and I'm sitting on the plane, and I'll document from the time I left home to the
Right.
time I'm in the
There you
sky,
go.
the time I'm in the airport. There's examples of that already up. Um,
Put on
but
your
then
YouTube though.
some of it ain't none of y'all damn business.
No, I'm not saying you. Look,
I'm
I'm not even
joking.
saying
I'm
that. Well,
joking.
I know, baby. I know, baby. What I'm saying is to me, especially now because eyes are on you, people are gonna be looking your name up trying to see stuff. You need to
Right.
be uploading stuff. Like I'm gonna say, so that's why even today, tomorrow, when I post this interview, I'm gonna tag you in on YouTube. I'm gonna tag you on everything. But for you, you should be uploading your own stuff because people are gonna be looking for your name and googling you. They
Yeah.
are
And
looking. They are. I know it.
hopefully what they're going to find is my stand up, because I got so many spontaneous moments. That's what I like to upload. The moments when I'm in the moment and someone says something in the audience and it's not one of my jokes and it gets that reaction. And the problem with that has been that the audio has been a little bit off. That's what I'm trying to tell you. AD has
Mm,
been a little off. So now I'm having professional camera folks come to my shows, and I've already got some of them done, and not the material,
right, right,
just the
right.
spontaneity and
Good
the fun
idea.
of the game. So that's what I'm doing now. But then again, like you say, I've done. I'm on my way over here, and I'm this, and I'm talking to the front desk man because the remote didn't work. I've got a lot of that, throughout. If you delve into like my TikTok is mostly stand up. My Instagram, I got 9,000 posts almost on that Instagram. So if people want to really get into me, but if they
Then you
start
go to
going
your Instagram.
go into the rabbit hole, my Instagram at Damon Williams Comedy, you're gonna find all of that stuff you're mentioning right now. I got skits, right? Because I got in a little around the time that Tyson had that fake fight with Jake Paul. Um, I started making, like content reels where it's produced all single handedly. So I understand what you're saying. I'm saying I will be doing some more of that, but mostly just want people to come get these jokes, and then the backstory. Sometimes some things are not left. We didn't see none of Michael Jackson's backstory, and that's why he was one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
true
ever
too.
expose yourself to people, then you become one of them. You
Yeah,
know,
I agree with that.
so there has to be
Part
a
of
certain amount of mystery, but it's
some
also
kind of mystery.
personality you want to portray as well. So in the middle of what I'm saying, what you're saying, you'll see that soon.
So okay, so is this gonna be a bit in your joke? Because I know y'all have to take time and craft it, but is any of this gonna be a bit in your jokes as far as this whole situation? I'm just curious because I can see it being
Uh,
super funny.
nah, because like I said, what I would like for this to end up being is something positive, where
Yes, yeah,
we get together and we go at least just one time, share the stage. You
that'd be
know,
nice.
yeah, and that way we combine the forces of um, the two different fan bases and the two generations, so that younger generation can see what traditional stand up is, and so the old heads can see what the youngest are talking about because you got youngest to go home to.
Hmm.
So you got more insight on what they are and what they're doing. So I think that would be the ultimate outcome. I have mentioned it on stage just to reference it because this hashtag has started. I know Damon Williams.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so I have
Jesus.
the audience recite that, but in order for them to say that, I have to give them the backstory. But I'm doing
Mm.
it in humorous fashion, so it will be incorporated in the show, and maybe for the short term only. But that I know Damon Williams is about to be a thing. Like there's gonna be jokes.
Look, come on, t-shirts and shoes.
Yeah,
So look, I'm just gonna tell you, look, even though I know how this started, but I just really like how it's going for you, and I want to see positive things happen for you. And thank you for coming on here. I appreciate you came, and I know that some stuff gonna. I know it's not gonna stop no time soon. I know you're not into mess, and I know you're not. I can tell you. Remember my dad, my uncles, all things. You're not into any of that, but I'm just telling you, it's not gonna stop no time soon. It's gonna keep on turning for a little bit. I'm just telling you. I need to be real with you. Because I can tell you, like, is it over now? It's not. And my clips are gonna make sure it keeps going. Trust
I
me.
mean, I can't say I'm not enjoying the attention that's
Mhm.
being brought to my existence in the industry.
Right.
Not so much the drama, but the
Right. Right. No, of
attention
course.
because I'm diligent. on my social media on a daily basis. I'm posting it. Now people are going to see, those things. So some people are going down, like you say, scrolling down into my videos, and my numbers are starting to rise. And it's kind of discouraging when you do this, what I do, and you do it as long as you've done it, and you post something and it doesn't get the reception you thought it
Right,
would get.
right.
So it'd be good for those things to be dug up. So it's plenty enough stuff out there for people to dig into.
Enough content. Gotcha.
My YouTube is struggling. That YouTube is horrible because I
You
had one
no,
before
no.
and I lost the
It's
log.
no, YouTube is my world, and YouTube is like a complicated relationship every freaking day.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
YouTube. If you don't feed YouTube, that girl will just leave you dry. It's a lot.
Clearly, TikTok was the same thing, and I felt like I wasn't connecting algorithm wise in TikTok either until Gary Owens' podcast dropped. I think I've gained. First of all, it took me I don't know a couple of years to get 2,000 people on there, and then I
Same
was
here.
starting to get momentum, so I was up to about 4,500, 5,000 before this happened. I haven't looked today, but I know I'm over 8,000, and I know those are not astronomical
Oh,
numbers.
I'm not even nowhere near
By the
that.
time y'all see this, though, watch by the time y'all see this. So now it's funny though, because the algorithm is clearly messing with me because I did
Oh god.
a video today with Shaka Khan because she got on that lace and leotard, right? And I just put Shaka Khan. I made a comment afterwards and put two pictures of me and Shaka.
Right.
Um, and on Facebook right now, and I posted that today. There are 1.6 million views.
Wow, that's crazy.
So somebody then clicked into my Facebook
Yeah,
algorithm,
your
and on
your your
TikTok,
algorithm going up. Your algorithm. So it's the Facebook. If I were you, you be posting more on Facebook. When you saw that number go up, you should post on Facebook like every day, like
yeah,
3 or 4 times a day. That's
I
crazy.
am.
Facebook is hard. That's how
Yeah,
Facebook.
Facebook snapped today.
Wow.
1.6. It might be at 2 million by now because that was at like 6:30, and it's 13 seconds.
Well, I'm David Taven Downs. I'm sure gonna tag you in some clips on Facebook. So thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate it. So
Get on it
I
and put
gotta
that.
make sure I gotta make sure I got the right because I have to make sure I'm taking the right one because there's a lot of Damon Williams out there. So I gotta make sure that I was gonna go. I have to delete some sometime because it'd be somebody that was it was your name and your picture, but it wasn't you. So it
Yeah.
takes me a while to find you sometimes. So I might hit you up and
Well,
say this is the
I have
right
two
one.
pages. I have two because I didn't know about the fan page, so I had an original friends
Ah,
page. Then I had a second friends page, but they have the same content. You can tell if you look at them, it's the same
okay,
thing.
I got you.
I
I
just
got
tagged myself for those two, and then I have the so-called fan page or the profile page, and that one, but all of them, you'll see me and my wife, or you could tell if it's my stuff.
right, right. You can say it's the original stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right, all right, all right. Look, it's gonna drop tomorrow. Clips and clips. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna get some comments because I'm gonna break it up. Then I'm gonna drop the whole interview tomorrow night. So, what you got coming up? I know you could booked and busy, and you probably gonna be really booked and busy real soon. What you got
yeah.
coming up? What you got coming up right now?
Um, this weekend, I'm at the Toledo Funny Bone for Memorial Weekend. Following that, the Monday, June 2nd, will be my first Chicago appearance after all this, and it's the Damon Williams show at the City Winery. And then on that's Monday the 2nd. On June the 3rd, I will be at Mac and Tuesday at the Beetle House in Los Angeles with Gary J. Thing Johnson. The following day, the Ice House Pasadena with D.L. Hughley. That Friday at the Miracle Theater with Chris Spencer. And all of that's part of the BET experience because it's BET Awards. So I'll be in LA all week next week. Then after that, I got Father's Day weekend in Chicago. So that Saturday, I found a place today because I was supposed to be in New Jersey, but the guy he's doing the same thing. Just he had a deposit. It's some janky promoter business. So I switched
Thank
today. Yeah,
you.
I'll be at there's a place called Chicago Theater Works Saturday. Sunday, I'm going home to Riddles for 2 shows on Father's Day itself. And then one big thing I do have there's a ribbon. Hey, what's the name? Anyway, it's a casino in South Bend, and I'm doing a pair of jokers with Gary Johnson and Just Niche is our host. So
Oh,
that's
just these.
yeah. So
Okay, so let me know if you ever come to Texas. I'm in Dallas, and
I
then y'all
just
don't come out.
yeah. Thank you, Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Arlington, because that's the first fully non-comped sold out weekend I've had in a comedy club. And I
You didn't
did
tell
that.
me that. You have. To, I told you. I don't be. I look. I work a lot. You gotta tell me. 'Cause I
Listen,
told you when you down here. I
listen,
got.
Jess. Listen, Jess. can't tell everybody everything. No, but it was sold
Tell
out.
me,
It was sold out. So I thought everybody knew. When I started seeing them tickets moving,
man.
I figured the
I
advertising.
am 48. I don't go out. So unless you tell me,
I went
unless you tell me I don't